Who is Akhenaten? Forget what you know about Ramses and Tut. This guy is the real OG villain of Egyptian history. Think he cursed his own bloodline for betraying him? Well, let's dive into today's big question. Did Egypt's most radical pharaoh get cursed by his own bloodline after abandoning their gods? Or was there another reason he met his untimely demise? Let me introduce you to the story of Akhenaten, the so-called heretic pharaoh whose name has been erased from history. We'll start at the beginning. In 1350 BCE, a new pharaoh took the throne in Egypt, a man who would forever change the landscape of not only Egypt, but the entire world. Akhenaten was already married to the beautiful Queen Nefertiti when he became king, which makes sense because they share striking facial features. But we still don't know much about his early life. When Akhenaten seized power, Egypt had just emerged from a century of chaos, known as the Second Intermediate Period. Akhenaten wasn't the first to rule during this era, but he was the one that put Egypt back on track to greatness. He united the empire and got everything running smoothly again. But that's not where the story begins. What made Akhenaten different was his religion. Most rulers paid homage to many gods, especially the sun god Amarna, who was considered the supreme deity. But Akhenaten wanted to change all that. He banned the old gods and demanded everyone worship the sun disk known as the Aten. Some scholars believe he was influenced by the Hyksos people, a group of foreign invaders who ruled parts of Egypt during the Second Intermediate Period. They had their own god, the Canaanite Baal, which may have inspired Akhenaten to become a monotheist. Others say he was simply crazy, though that seems unlikely. We know Akhenaten banned temples, closed down the offices of priests, and burned sacred texts of other gods. He even went as far as to claim he was the only person the Aten chose to speak to. And he wasn't shy about it either. Akhenaten built a brand new capital city called Amarna and moved the empire's seat of power away from Thebes. He didn't bother restoring any of the temples in Amarna. Instead, he built one massive temple dedicated to the Aten. He also made his wife, Queen Nefertiti, the most powerful woman in Egypt, right up there with him. Some scholars even think she was a core ruler alongside her husband. She is often shown holding a scepter or wearing a royal beard, symbols of authority typically reserved for male pharaohs. You might recognize the name Nefertiti. Perhaps you saw the recent National Geographic series about her. Some historians believe the famous bust of Nefertiti currently held in Berlin was actually sculpted by her own hand. It was discovered in 1912 during an excavation of the Middle Egyptian site of Tel el-Marna. It's thought that she ruled alongside her husband for 17 years, which would make her the longest ruling female ruler in Egyptian history. Of course, this isn't certain. It's just a theory. The couple also had 6 daughters, 2 of whom later served as queens. But their legacy was short-lived. During the 12th year of Akhenaten's 17-year reign, his daughter Princess Meritaten died. After this, everything started to go downhill. King Tut, also known as Tutankhamun, took the throne after Akhenaten. And while we do know some things about him, namely that he had a small head and died young, we don't know a lot. Many historians believe he was the son of Akhenaten and possibly co-ruled with his father. However, he changed the empire's capital back to Thebes and restored the old gods. He basically did everything he could to erase his father's legacy. Not only that, but he also labeled Akhenaten a heretic for abandoning Egypt's true gods. Now, we don't know for sure if this was Tut's idea or someone else's, but it's interesting to note nonetheless. So what happened to Akhenaten? How did he meet his untimely death? And was there a curse involved? Well, once the king's daughter died, everything began to fall apart. Some historians believe a plague swept through Egypt, killing hundreds of thousands of people. This may have led to famine and unrest, which in turn caused the collapse of the empire. Others argue that the priests of the old gods plotted a coup d'etat and killed Akhenaten. Either way, his empire fell apart during his 17th year on the throne. A few months later, he died, leaving behind a legacy of controversy and a kingdom in shambles. Now, this is where the story takes a strange turn. Modern historians can't agree on what really happened, but there are texts dating back thousands of years that suggest there was a curse involved. Archaeologists uncovered several curse tablets hidden inside the tombs of Akhenaten's family members. One tablet found near King Tut's tomb reads, "May he who disturbs the sleep of the chief of the gods, Amun, Ra, be cursed by Ra. May his body be thrown out like the filth of the street." Another says, "May his name be forgotten in this place." These tablets were written during Akhenaten's lifetime, meaning his enemies wanted his memory completely erased. This adds credence to the idea that he was assassinated by those loyal to Egypt's old gods. Of course, we don't know for sure, but this is certainly a possibility. So why does this matter? Why should you care about this ancient curse? Well, the answer is simple. Akhenaten was a game changer. He introduced monotheism to Egypt, which directly influenced the Abrahamic religions, including Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Some historians even believe that the biblical Moses came from this revolution, leading the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt and bringing them to the Promised Land. In fact, Akhenaten's title at the time was given to Moses in the Bible. To further add to the speculation, Akhenaten's empire collapsed soon after he abandoned the old gods. This could have been due to a natural disaster, a plot by the priests, or something else entirely. But one thing is for sure, this event directly impacted the rest of history. Could Akhenaten have saved his legacy and the lives of his descendants if he hadn't defied the gods? We'll never know. But one thing is certain, he paid the ultimate price for trying to reshape the spiritual future of Egypt. Speaking of saving legacies, how did Akhenaten's legacy live on through his descendant King Tut? Well, that's exactly what we'll explore in our next episode. Now, the strange circumstances surrounding King Tut's death and his rise to power have fascinated the public for decades. And the recent discovery of a mysterious tomb may shed new light on his early life and reign. Known as the Tomb of the Red Chapel, this recently discovered burial site was found near the Valley of the Kings and contains a number of fascinating artifacts and inscriptions that offer insights into ancient Egyptian culture and beliefs. But it's what the tomb doesn't contain that has many scratching their heads. See, the tomb was originally believed to belong to a high-ranking official named Ua and his wife, Thu'u, who were believed to be the parents of Queen Tai, King Tut's grandmother. However, the discovery of a small sarcophagus inside the tomb has led many to speculate that it may have once belonged to King Tut himself. The timing of the burial also seems to line up, as King Tut is believed to have died around the age of 19, which would have been around the time that his grandmother Tai passed away. But why would King Tut's body have been buried in a tomb that wasn't his own? One theory is that the young king's body was moved from its original resting place in order to protect it from grave robbers. Another possibility is that King Tut's body was never actually in the original tomb, and that the small sarcophagus was meant to deceive those looking to plunder the burial site. This isn't the only reason Egyptologists have been baffled by this tomb. The strange layout of the burial chamber has also left many scratching their heads. Unlike most royal tombs, which were designed to resemble the underworld and were filled with treasures and offerings for the deceased, the Red Chapel tomb is relatively small and simple, with the main burial chamber measuring just 10 feet by 13 feet. The chamber is also decorated with a number of strange and unusual inscriptions, including one that depicts Yuya and Thuya performing rituals in front of the gods. But it's not clear why these rituals are taking place or what they're supposed to represent. Some have speculated that the inscriptions may hold secret messages or clues to the location of King Tut's actual tomb, while others believe they may simply be part of a larger, funerary ritual meant to ensure the safe passage of the dead into the afterlife. Ultimately, we may never know for sure what the strange layout of the Red Chapel tomb means, or why King Tut's body was buried there. But that's part of what makes this discovery so fascinating. As researchers continue to excavate and study the site, they are sure to uncover more clues that will help us better understand not only the life and death of King Tut, but ancient Egyptian culture and beliefs as well. So be sure to stay tuned for more updates on this exciting archaeological discovery. And until then, happy excavating. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching.